Welcome to Pistons Talk podcast. Hope you guys are having a great Thursday night. In today's episode, what we'll be discussing Pistons versus Heat, NBA Summer League reactions, Daniss Jenkins as a possible backup point guard for the Pistons, and Bobi Klintman. Talk about what we saw from him today in the Summer League. So let's get into just Pistons versus Heat post game reactions. It's worth noting no Ron Holland today. They shut Ron down. He played three preseason, excuse me. My mind is just like automatically goes to the preseason when basketball's back. Uh, Three summer league games, and he looked damn good, led the team in scoring, but he wasn't out there today. He did chat with Darren Collinson on NBA TV, I believe in the second quarter it was. Have to kind of go back and listen to that interview. But no, Ron. Bobby looked really good to start this first quarter, you guys. And we talked about it last post game show. He looked really rough the first three summer league games. He had a really great game, and he started the first quarter off pretty strong. A player we're probably going to be talking about quite a bit on this podcast today, Dawson Garcia. If you guys don't know who that is, he was one of the undrafted free agents that the Detroit Pistons signed immediately after the draft. He went to Minnesota, and he was spreading the floor. He was stretching the floor, hitting some threes, and he was very active in today's game, hitting threes, rebounding, and causing fights, which we'll get into in a little bit. But the ball movement was excellent in this first quarter for the Pistons, and felt like they had their sliders up from three. They hit 6 3-pointers in this first quarter, and it was just beautiful to see. It was awesome to see this team just hit open threes. They're really spreading the ball. It was just beautiful basketball to watch. And Sakai Ziegler in the first quarter hit a buzzer beater late. And he's just like, he's just such a tough player. I don't know if he's going to make the roster. He probably doesn't. Maybe he does make the Motor City Cruise roster and he's in the G League. Uh, he's just a really fun player to watch. He's only 5'9". Good defensive point guard. Did hit some threes today, but Pistons do end the first quarter with a 30-15 lead against Miami. Going into the second, they kept the pace. They were still spreading the wealth, hitting threes, and Tolu Smith was active, protecting the paint. He had a couple of dunks, I should say dunk attempts, that probably would have broke the internet. There was one where Bobi Klintman made a beautiful pass. He didn't finish it. There's another one where met a guy at a rim, met the guy at the rim and got blocked. But overall, Pistons still, kept their foot on the gas and went with a 52-36 lead going into halftime. Coming out of halftime, not even like 20 seconds into this game, we get like Dawson Garcia decides, I'm just going to lay this guy out right now. That's exactly what he did. This was a game where there were 6 technical fouls in a summer league game, you guys. 3 for the Pistons, 3 for the Heat. There was over 50 foul calls. Like, this was a very chippy, scrappy game. And it's kind of funny. We saw that with the regular Detroit Pistons roster last year, where a lot of attacks, a lot of fights, altercations. JB Bickerstaff's mindset has leaked into this summer league roster. They were getting under the skin of Miami Heat players. And I absolutely love it. I still can't believe Dawson Garcia just decided to put his shoulder and like level a guy. But it was probably the funniest part of this game. First 20 seconds, you getting technicals, getting people getting laid out on the floor. Bobby still was really aggressive, hitting his shots, rebounding, hitting some threes today, especially in the third quarter. And Daniss Jenkins, his playmaking, he had an incredible game as well. He had a double-double, had 10 assists, only 3 turnovers, and he's looked good all summer league. We'll talk about him in a little bit later, but Pistons end the third quarter with a 79-61 lead going into the fourth. it was mostly just the second unit out there, just letting the starters rest a little bit. But it was a very thorough game by the Detroit Pistons on this both ends of the court, defensively and offensively. Garrison Brooks, I've never seen somebody just have highlight dunks the way he had. He had a couple of posters today, and I was like, man, like I'm surprised we didn't see him more. He's just kind of like a lob threat, but I did want to talk about him for even if it's for 20 to 30 seconds. Like I was really impressed with some of the dunks. They were absolutely crazy. If you guys do have a chance to go back and watch, definitely go check out some of his dunks because they were pretty wild. But Pistons do win this one in dominating fashion, 108 to 88. They finished the summer league 3-1. Still TBD whether or not they're going to make the summer league playoffs. From my understanding, it's the four best teams in the summer league with the best point differential. Now, the one loss they had did dip their point differential down a little bit, but with this win tonight, it probably kind of evens out. So we're gonna have to wait and see with the remainder of the summer league games if the Detroit Pistons are going to be one of the four final teams to make the summer league playoffs. I just don't know right now. But overall, really good game. The ball movement was excellent. The pace was great. And I think the reason why the pace was so great was because of Daniss Jenkins. And he's our next topic, you guys. Now, for him, I'm very intrigued how he looks going into training camp and how he looks in preseason. As you guys know, he is one of the Detroit Pistons two-way contracts. But just the way he plays, the pace in which he plays with, his ability to, find the open man, and if the passing lane is closed or there just isn't an open man, he's looking for his shot. Shot a really good percentage in the summer league from three. And the reason why I wanted to bring him up as a backup point guard, right now the Pistons don't quote unquote have a backup point guard, and I know we talked about it a couple of podcasts ago about him maybe possibly making the rotation, maybe possibly getting his two-way converted to a standard contract on this team. But you have Jaden Ivey, who's going to be your starting shooting guard and maybe possibly your backup point guard. He's probably going to get staggered with the second unit. Karis LeVert's name has also been mentioned in possible backup point guard responsibilities. Trajan Langdon had mentioned that he envisions Jaden Ivey and Karis LeVert being more of the primary ball handlers with the second unit. But I I just want to come up here and say, if you want to give Daniss Jenkins a look, I think it would be worth it. I mean, he could be your third string point guard on this team. Um, I just really like him as a player. Defensively, he was really out there, picking up guys, full court pressure. I think defensively, there are sometimes like rotation wise, um, it's not the best, but the effort's there. And I think that's all you can really ask for out of a backup point guard. But I've just been really impressed with him. It's just this summer league, caught a couple of G League games late in the season, and he was on a tear. I don't know how you guys feel though about possibly giving Daniss Jenkins a look if you do need a backup point guard. I know we mentioned, the areas of weakness with this roster, and obviously it's not a completed roster. They still have some roster spots open and available, but if you're looking to maybe look at a backup point guard, maybe Daniss Jenkins is a guy that you look to sign. Still really early in the offseason. It's the 17th of July as we're recording this episode. But I mean, I've told you guys my stance. I don't really love the idea of staggering Cade and Ivy together. Not saying that Ivy isn't capable of leading the second unit. I would just rather him be more fresh throughout the season because I think that can wear on you not only mentally but physically as well. But I just would rather have my starting shooting guard get rest and not be out there with the second unit because we don't have a backup point guard. But that's just me. Maybe you guys feel that Karis LeVert, um, in certain reps, certain situations, is more than capable of being your backup point guard. But I'd at least give Daniss Jenkins a look. I think he's earned that right. I think he had a phenomenal summer league. Um, really going to be paying attention to him when we do get preseason in a couple of months. But just wanted to discuss it for a little bit. Really liked what I saw out of him today and throughout the entire summer league. I think he's at least earned a conversation amongst us Pistons fans of looking at him as a possible backup point guard on this basketball team. Now, we're going to wrap up this podcast with our final topic, and it's Bobi Klintman. Now, we talked about it last pod. Bobi, his first three, I almost said preseason, first three summer league games was very underwhelming. He didn't look good out there. He looked like he was struggling. I'm so happy that he bounced back today, because I know I know when I look at the potential and I look at him, I do think that there's at least a rotational NBA player in there. Is he ready this year? I'm not sure. I still have questions. I'd like to see a little bit more. But today was a good sign. Had over 20 points, shot a good percentage from the field, and from three. Got to the free throw line, and I'm just really intrigued with him as a potential bench piece now. I don't think he's ready to back up Tobias right now. I just don't. I think it's still a development curve with him. But I do think if he is hitting shots like he was tonight, you guys, or today, because the game was at 4 o'clock, I do think there is a rotational player in there. I just think it's more of a development thing. They gave him a 4-year contract, so I'm not entirely sure what the plan is for him long term. How soon do the Detroit Pistons expect him to, you know, be on the main roster and not in the G League? But games like tonight, I think you can kind of see the vision of like why the Detroit Pistons decided to trade up for him because he was still there in the draft last season. But I was just really impressed with him. I was impressed with him and Daniss today. I thought they were a big reason why the Detroit Pistons were able to just have such a dominant win over the Miami Heat. But don't want to keep this podcast too long. Around 13 to 15 minutes is usually our sweet spots for these post game reactions. But let me know what you guys think of today's game, last summer league game. Maybe, who knows? I have to see how the championship format kind of turns out with the Pistons with the Heat versus the Heat. Daniss Jenkins as a backup point guard. Do you guys think it's worth a discussion and maybe possibly worth looking at if you are the Detroit Pistons? And Bobi Klintman looking better. Let me know what you guys thought of him today in his performance against the Miami Heat. Until next time, you guys, take care. Have a great night. And as always, go Pistons. Peace.